So welcome everybody, and thank you for joining the Light Up Your Brand Growth with Creative Ads webinar. My name is Frederik, and to my right I have Alexander, who will be presenting at this event here. Before we start, I would like to take the time out to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to listen to us here. And Alexander will talk to us about being a misfit could be a good thing, and maybe being a misfit could be the best fit when it comes to advertising. During the presentation, feel free to ask questions in the drop-down menu, and we'll go through the questions once the presentation from Alexander is done. So without further ado, I will give the table to Alexander.
Thank you so much, and I hope that we are coming through loud and clear, and exactly as Frederik said, feel free to ask your questions during. So I think the first thing I would just like to talk a little bit about is who IPSOS are, because some of you, I'm sure, are familiar with IPSOS, some of you may not be. So we are a full service advertising research or marketing research company, and we have won the award for the most innovative global full service agency for the past 4 years. And one of the reasons why we have done that is what I am trying every day to navigate in, which is what we call creative excellence. And it has everything to do with what we know within communication research. And a big reason why we are dedicated to this, and why we are this advertising or research agency, is that we are leaning up against what we know from behavioral science, data science, neuroscience, all the newest things, and we're integrating that into our methods. And that is also why our partners, such as Effie Awards, the ANA, and Contagious, are partnering with us for that exact reason. And in creative excellence especially, our mission is to help brands like you harness the creativity to spark your brand growth. And this is, of course, what we will talk about today. And this is, as I'm sure you will feel, hopefully, coming across the screen. We always want to do this in person, but in this case, we could broaden out a little bit more by doing it online. But I hope this still comes across the screen that we are extremely passionate about this mission here. All right, so a little bit about me. So my name is Alexander Asmussen. I lead the creative excellence here at IPSOS in Denmark. I will be your local misfit for the day. We will talk a lot about misfits later on, so hopefully we'll put a few more words on that. And I would not be very nice if I didn't give credit to our global misfit, which is Adam Sheridan, who wrote the book Misfits for IPSOS. He's our head of global products and analytics at Creative Excellence as well. So we will give you some context details for both myself and Adam at the end of this webinar, and absolutely feel free to reach out if you are interested in more. So just setting the scene here, we are, of course, in quite challenging times at the moment, with huge increases in inflation compared to what we were looking for in 2019. We are at 300% of the inflation. So really quite troubling times, and of course this doesn't go unnoticed by our dear consumers, the audiences that we're trying to hit. And when we're asking them in one of our online studies of almost 25,000 people, when we're asking them about their kind of take on the situation, 37% of them are even expecting that their disposable income will fall a lot or a little in the coming time. So really, there aren't really an expectancy of things improving in the short term at least. And of course, that has an effect on you guys. It has an effect on us, because when consumers have the expectancy not to go out and spend their money, of course that means cautious times for us as advertisers as well. And what typically happens when brands react in a very understandable way, trying to cut expenditure, often the first in line is marketing. And And of course, this is what we've seen so many times. But what if that is wrong? What if we got this all wrong? And that's some of the things that I want to talk about with today. What if the investing in the quality of your advertising, in the quality of your creatives, what if that can actually maximize sales, even if the budget is cut? So hopefully we'll be a little bit smarter after seeing this webinar here today. There's no doubt in my mind that all the people here who signed up for this webinar understands the value of creativity. And if we look at the Cannes Lions State of Creativity study from last year, 67% of those asked, so practitioners and so on, brand people, 67% of those feel that creativity is extremely valuable in terms of being a competitive advantage. So if your brand is strong in creativity, that is a big leverage point versus your competition. The problem, the confidence to communicate that internally, however, is not really existing to the same degree, because when we ask the same people whether they are also extremely confident to convince CFOs to invest, only 12% claim that they are. So this really shows us that there's kind of a creativity gap between what we deep down in our marketing souls know works, know creates some sort of effect on our brands, and how we can communicate that to the higher ups, to those sitting on the treasure chest. So this is, of course, all about having kind of a uniform language or common understanding of the value of creativity. So what we're looking at here is the average sales uplift, kind of grouped into 3/3. Those coming from ads with a low creative effect, a low creativity, those coming from kind of the middle third and the top third. So, and we can here see what we have used here is a marketing mix model validated, isolated effect of advertising on the subsequent sales of that specific brand, and at these different creativity levels. And what's super interesting to see is the big difference. So these are index numbers. So let's take, for instance, and compare the bottom third to the top third. Here we have a gap of 44%. So again, this we're looking at here is the effect on sales from isolated on the creative that a given brand is launching in market. And there's a difference of 44% from those ads, not the worst ads in the world that has ever been produced to the best ads in the world that has ever been produced, but the bottom third to the top third, an increase of 44%. And what that means is that you will simply, by having creatively strong ads, your subsequent spending that you're using in your media plan, and subsequently the sales impact that you're creating, we can validate via marketing mix models, increases by 44% by ensuring the creativity in the ads. So this is huge. And let me show you how huge this really is by a fictitious example here. So let's say we have a brand. From a given creative campaign, that brand creates, say, a sales increase of 5 million euros. So let's say that ad, instead of producing little creative ads, really produced highly creative ads. That increase in just investing in the creative strength of the ads that this, example brand launched is 2.2 million euros in this example. So, and I can guarantee you that testing this is not, regardless of who you test with, whether it's with me, hopefully it is, but otherwise with anyone else, it's not going to cost you 2.2 million euros. So if you look at this with kind of the no hat on, if you could say that in English, this is a missed opportunity, a lost sales opportunity of 2.2 million, and no test in the world is going to cost that. So really my urge for you here is invest in the creativity, because we know from validations, we know when we really do the legwork with marketing mix models, we isolate the effect of the ads, we can see that those ads with high creativity, they outperform those with low creativity by 44% in subsequent sales impact. This is absolutely huge. So one of the challenges that we're facing, and I'm just going to start a video here. One of the challenges that we're facing is cultivation of conformity. So this all has to do with, for instance, as you can see here, car adverts. For some reason, it's like all the car manufacturers, all the car brands, they got in a room, they decided this is how a car advert is supposed to look. You know, it's always a crooked road, there's nature, there's reflections in the mirror screen, the same thing with beverages, the condensation, all that stuff. So it's really, you know, there's like a conformity that some categories are kind of leaning up against, you know, unwilling, but it happens, you know. It's like fish swimming in the sea, and they're looking at the fish next to them and saying, okay, I bet that fish knows exactly where it's going, so I'm going to follow that one. And this is kind of the conformity that we're seeing. So the problem with that is that when we actually look at the data, and this is, we're in the business of data here and insights. So when we look at the data and we're looking over 2,000 cases and we're doing a meta-analysis of those ads that conform to this category conformity of a given category. This could be the car ads that we just saw, the beverage ads. You all know the telco ads with the super low prices, this and this many megabytes that you can have and have this little cute animal that is our mascot, right? They're all the same. And the problem with that is that we can see those that actually dare to step out of this conforming comfort zone and take the plunge, try to be a little bit of a misfit. They are actually 21% more likely to gain consumer attention. And not only that, they're 21% more likely to gain the top quintile of branded attention, which is the very echelon of what we're trying to do. So let's actually put this to the test. So I'm going to show you two ads here, one for Lexus and one for Volkswagen. And then I will launch a little bit of a survey afterwards with you guys attending here, and then let's have a look at the results. So let's first look at the Lexus ad. 1 second here.
Stop and be. Start without fear. Accelerate your way.
Hey Lexus, find an open drag brunch.
The all-new Lexus NX. Welcome to the next level.
So certainly a lot of shiny panels there. Let's watch another ad for Volkswagen. 1 second.
A tutte le ore, sempre, ma sempre qua. Vediamo qua. Vediamo qua. Ecco qua.
So I'm going to launch a little bit of a survey here. 1 second. Hopefully you get to answer this. So the question is, which of these two ads do you expect to best remember in about a week's time? Let's see what people are answering here. So I'm just going to give you all a chance to answer. Okay, so I'll close the poll now. Thank you so much. And I can tell you that 89% of you felt that the Volkswagen ad was more memorable and more likely to stick in mind. And exactly because it was stepping out the comfort zone, and the mere fact that I'm showing it now, this is an ad from 1990, so I was 8 years at the time, and I actually remember that ad from back then. So this is really something that has stuck in my mind personally. Okay, so kind of stepping out of the comfort zone, being a little bit of a misfit, for sure is something that can have an effect. And if we look in popular culture and we see different misfits. Here on the left, we have Tony Hawk trying to do the very first 720 rotation on his so famous skateboard. On the right side, we see different pop culture icons such as David Bowie, very much a misfit. And what we know from these kind of pop culture misfits is that they're actively not wanting to fit in. They're actually trying not to fit in. And what we know from content creators, entertainers, innovators in our line of business is that they're all embracing the fact that they're not fitting in, or maybe even trying actively not to do so. And they're doing this to get more effective outcomes, just like we're seeing in just a second. Let's hope he actually succeeds. Our good friend Tony Hawk. There we go. What a legend. And as you'll see in just a bit, he is very, very chuffed with himself. So what is common for all these misfits is that they're often very, very good storytellers as well. And this is a lesson that we can for sure adapt to our brands. Congrats there, Tony. Okay, so moving on. So this is, very much a research slide. And of course, I wouldn't be a research agency if I didn't bring a slide like this. But basically, the point of this slide here is that, as we were talking about, we need kind of a uniform language. And when we're sitting in boardrooms and webinars and things like that, and we're talking about what is creativity, the creative agency says things like we need to be edgy, we need to be quirky, we need to be disruptive, things like that. And the brands go, yes, we need to be different, it needs to be unique. The irony is that the people, our audience that we're actually trying to hit, is not part of that conversation. And we felt that was, that was wrong. We needed to include them. So we did a poll, very simple, open-ended question, asking over 20,000 people across the globe to talk about, put some words into, if they were thinking about creative advertising that they had seen prior, something that had stuck in their mind, which words kind of came to mind. And this is kind of the words that came out. So absolutely true. We are not completely, losing our touch with the consumers. They needed something unique. They needed something different. Absolutely. It needed to be also interesting and informative, something the brands, of course, are saying all the time, but really, maybe above all, they needed to be entertained. They needed to have fun. They needed to experience joy and happiness. And of course, production quality was also something they highlighted. So really, at the right here, you can see a very creative ad. If you haven't seen it before, it's one of my favorites. You can click on the YouTube link here and see it afterwards. But it's really something that shows empathy, and that is the key to what we're trying to say here. The consumers, what was common for what they were saying was that they really wanted empathy. They wanted someone to consider them and someone that kind of addressed their worries, their challenges, their dreams and hopes. And then when we knew that, we put kind of our money where our mouths are and tried to test ourselves. So looking at the creative effects, so what we saw earlier was validated to in-market sales. We looked at advertising that was low on creativity and was low on empathy. And then looked at how was the average score of that type of advertising to the average ad. And here we could see that we were lagging behind the adverts that really doesn't really put a focus in creativity, doesn't really empathize with the target audience that they are trying to hit. They were 23% lower than the average ad in terms of this sales validated creative effect measure that we have. If you amp up creativity, so really show something that catches my attention, show something unique, but really forget the empathy to the audience that we're trying to hit. We are improving for sure, but we're really not hitting the average. We're not hitting the average ad in terms of creativity and in terms of creative effect. If we have low creativity, but we really amp up the empathy, so really showing that we care, that we know, that we understand our target audience, this is where we start getting positive results. This is where our return on investment begins to become positive. And of course, if we can combine the high creativity with a high empathy for our target audience, that's where the magic happens. That's where we are outperforming the average ad, the market, all our competitors with 20 percentage points, which again, if we remember the validation, means bucks. It is good business, so to speak. So let's absolutely have a look at how this applies to creative research. Or before that, let's just have a little bit of a break. So creativity, one of the main points that I want to leave you guys with today is that it's really a mindset. It really is a way of changing your way of thinking about communication. The point of creativity is that it should empower you to focus on one thing, and that is your audience. So you need to switch your mindset to think that way. Steven Spielberg, when he's making a film, he's not thinking about how many dolls can I sell afterwards in merchandise sales. He first and foremost thinks about how can I allure, how can I catch and hold the attention of my audience? What is it that they respond to? What are their hopes? What are their dreams? And this we need to take into account when we are looking to make creative advertising. So what is it that they want? They want to be surprised. They want to be entertained. True creativity is born of empathy for people. And we need to respect and reflect their challenges, their needs, and their dreams in the way that we communicate to them. And the great thing is that our evidence confirms that this is actually a good return on investment. So there are no reasons to not do this. A good advertisement in terms of creativity delivers this experience, not only makes it more positive for audiences, but also makes it much more likely to deliver an increase in sales and share growth. So it's just a win-win all around. So how do we apply this to research? How can we actually apply this, what we know about how the brain works, and maybe even can we quantify creativity? So maybe, you know, I'm getting carried away here and maybe going a little bit too far. But what we can do is we can actually survey consumers and understand exactly what creative pieces are strong, where they have challenges, and how this influences this creative effect that we know is directly correlated to the subsequent sales uplift. So I guess what I'm saying is we can actually quantify creativity a little bit, but I need to believe that as a researcher, of course. So let's look at how we do that. So first we look at the creative experiences. Are we creating a creative experience for the consumers? Something that entertains, something that is unique, maybe some surprise. Are we creating something that's fun to talk about? Then we are looking at empathy and fitting in, and we are looking at anchoring in the world of our target audience, looking at their needs, their dreams, and their challenges. Are we doing that? So things like, is it credible what we are saying? Is it relevant for me? And then, of course, we want to create creative ideas. We also want to present something. We want to teach our target audience something that is interesting, showing them something new, perhaps even something they haven't seen before. So this is the creative idea. So this whole spectrum is really what creates the impact that we're seeing, but it's not created equal. They do different things. So if we have advertising that is really a creative experience, what it does more so than anything, and I think the Volkswagen ad really underlined that, creating this unique, entertaining, surprising, and certainly for us in this business, talkable, creative experience really encodes things in our memories as human beings. Less so, it creates a short-term kind of persuasion, you could say, and less so it builds on the long relationship. This is what we again see from our model of the relationship between these different areas and the different advertising types. This is based on over 700 ads. If we're looking at empathy and filling in ads that show this empathy, you know, showing empathy for your target group, kind of showing that you understand where people are coming from, that doesn't necessarily make it stick in mind. That's what we have the creative experiences for. But really what it does create this, you know, feeling of knowing the consumers, making sure that our communication, our advertising is relevant for them, showing that, you know, passion for their needs and their challenges. And that we can see creates the short-term choice intent improvements, and it creates the long-term relationships as well. And finally, just like with empathy, the creative ideas that we're creating doesn't really create any memory encoding, or it's not highly correlated with that, but rather it boosts the short-term choice intent, so really creates that persuasion, but really builds on the long-term relationship. So if I'm being, you know, my attention is being caught by something unique, something that stirs my emotions, something that is entertaining, and I feel that I'm being talked to, and the people who are talking, the brands who are talking, understand me as a person by showing empathy for my situation, my dreams, my challenges. And at the same time, I'm being taught something new about this brand, something that makes this brand appear different from other brands. That is where we are really hitting the trifecta. We are gaining attention, and what we are saying with that attention is really moving the needle. All right, so I'm going to show you a few examples. So here, the first example is what I think is a really good example of a creative experience, really catching attention here. So let's have a look. 1 second. So I think this is a very creative ad. It's certainly unique. There's surprise in it. It's entertaining, and I personally really like it. I really like this ad. So really a good creative experience that catches my attention. This one is an example. I'm sure most of you in this forum has seen it. It's also one of my favorites. Let's have a look, and it's a really good show of how a brand can show empathy for that target audience. So let's have a look here.
Hi, Aaron. Show me what it looks like to run like a girl.
My hair.
Show me what it looks like to fight like a girl. Now throw like a girl.
Aw.
So do you think you just insulted your sister?
No. I mean, yeah, insulted girls, but not my sister.
My name is Dakota, and I'm 10 years old.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Throw like a girl. Fight like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
So I mean, for me, and I'm certainly not the target group or the audience for this product or brand, but this just hits very close to home. I have a little 1-year-old daughter. At some point she will be 10. At some point she will be 13, 14, and this just empathizes with me in that situation, showing me that the best gift I can give to her is giving her the confidence to stand on her own legs, and certainly not bring her down and making that self-confidence plummet. So really hits home with me, almost tearing up a little bit. It's really, really a strong creative, and it's really a testament to how we can, as brands, show empathy for our target audiences. All right, moving on to a great creative idea. And this is a brand, I've shown this ad before, actually a little while back in some of my other webinars, but I just really, really like it. And it is really showing, it's telling me something new, and it's really showing the brand as being different. So this is a Volvo ad, and let's have a look here.
What is the ultimate safety test? Hey, I'm Björn, and I'm here at Volvo to find out. These are the side and frontal crash tests. They're brutal. Yep, seems fine. This one is my favorite. The run-off road test. Impressive, right? But is it the ultimate safety test? This is the big one, the 100-foot drop. So is this the ultimate safety test? Well, it depends. When you...
So I think also a very, very strong creative here, and certainly really leaving me with the with knowing something new compared to before I had seen this ad. All right. So sometimes the challenge is the feeling of whether you can influence this whole process early enough in order to change anything, and luckily you can. So one of the ways you can do that is very early research. So this is what we call labs. It's designed to test even an idea, a creative idea. You can test manifestos, you can test storyboards very early, so you don't have to spend, frustrating budget on creating test stimuli. You can test pretty much what you have already, and put multiple things into the same test. So it's a really, really flexible setup. And the way it works is that we are first combining, it's all live, so it happens in one day. And we are validating first the impact on your brand via live quant questions. So the questions we will push to respondents, they're all sitting ready for us. We will see the results coming in live, and I will do my best sports commentator impression of trying to navigate all the results coming in and hitting us as we go along. Then we will follow up this broad understanding of the validation with some deep dive into the why we are seeing the results that we're seeing in deep dive qual groups of 6 of the same people. So what I really, really love about this setup is that these people will have spent 45 minutes first talking about or understanding about all the creatives. They will have gathered their opinions. So the quality of the subsequent focus groups that we're doing here, these group discussions, are just so much better because they are all they have made up their mind about what their opinions is, so they're not so easily swayed. So the discussions we get in these groups is always top notch. And it's a super fast turnaround because it all happens in one day. So in a matter of hours, you will actually get that answer to what we have for questions. And I really, really like this setup, and hopefully and luckily, this is not something that I am only fond of, because when we're doing these projects, in some situations we are so fortunate that clients want to write cases with us, and this happened with our labs process with Danish Crown. We were helping them making their new Baconeer universe. And I'm not going to read out the full quote, but what I really, really like about this is our specialist in marketing innovation in the European Danish Crown Foods Group said we can test the direction of the creative work very, very early in the process. And that is exactly the benefit of this. So all the things we've talked about today, starting early and kind of getting that foot in the door early in the process to make sure that we are in a good place early on before we're spending all the money, is just a good return on investment. And what I really, really love about this is that not just the brands love this, the creative agencies love this as well. Here we have a quote from a group client director at the Stale, now Accenture Song. We get a common validation of the creative work. And this, the word common here, I really, really love, because in many cases, there are, you know, many different versions of the truth, many different discussion streams. But here we are really sitting together for a full day. All the discussions at the end of the day have already been had, and everybody kind of sees eye to eye and knows how to move forward. So the last thing I'm going to show you here with a few minutes left is a very cool ad that came out. It was a Christmas ad. It was a true MISFIT ad, because as you see, there's very, very little Christmas feeling in it. So let me show you that ad as one of the last things here.
Starting 2 members. I just got here, the party's stupendous. I'm just spending, I bought out the whole bar. I'm just generous.
I pick him up, can put him down, can put him down. I can't help myself when that guy comes around. Yeah, I'm saying it's the lips, it's the eyes when you hold me tight. Up in my head every day, need it every night. And he made me say, yeah, my body say, make my body say, yeah, bring it on, keep it going, boy.
Been at it for days now, it's just endless. She came to my house in suspenders. That time that she had's been extended. Central Friday night with West Enders.
That guy got me weak at the knees. Now you better keep it coming, baby. Come put your moves on me. Put your loving on me.
Finally.
Cut. Let's go again. Just be yourself.
Belvedere vodka.
So let's have a look. We actually tested this and have a look with our kind of MISFIT mindsets here. So if we're looking at the creative experiences, the empathy and the creative ideas, what really, really stands out, of course, is the creative experience. It is super unique. It is very, very emotionally stirring, something that people will talk about. The popular culture part with Daniel Craig, we all know him from his job as Mr. Bond. Highly entertaining, surprising, all that stuff performed above norm. But it's also showing empathy. We tested this among clear spirit users. And of course, what is it that you want when you have a drink in your hand? It is to have fun, and this just exudes fun. It entertains you to the core. So really, also when we're moving on to the creative ideas, it's really showing a different brand here. It's showing that Belvedere is a brand that does not want to stand in the bar and talk about, distillery processes and how the production of their product is used. They want to be out on the dance floor, making people have fun. So just really, really highly creative. And as we could see, the creative effect, what we've talked about, our sales validated in-market measure, correlation to sales, is out of this world. Average is 100 index. This is 260, the best we've ever tested in the US. So very, very strong results here. So if I leave you with anything, this is creativity here. It's not a magic formula. It's really a mindset. It's a change in mindset. Question yourself, change the culture of how you view communication. And if anything you go away from this presentation with, is it that I will try to leave you with this. The evidence really confirms that what may feel risky is really the safest way that your advertising can spark brand growth. So go out there, think differently, add value to your audiences, surprise them, entertain them, frame stories in their world, use what you know about them to show empathy for their situation and their dreams. Go out, stand outside the comfort zone a little bit, be a rebel, be a misfit. Thank you very much.